It looks like we have an update on the return of Brock Lesnar to WWE as Triple H himself gave insight into why Brock has been away and when and how we could see him come back. It was a very unexpected answer, quite frankly, and we're going to talk about it. You're going to hear from him in this video. We're also going to talk about the plans to bring WrestleMania to London. It looks like things are ramping up, and we could be seeing that at some point in the near future. All that and much more coming up in this video, so be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, so of course, Triple H was in London this past week to talk about potentially bringing WrestleMania over to the UK. And as part of that, he met with members of the media. There was a bit of a scrum where they were meeting with the London mayor. And in that, he was asked about Brock Lesnar's current status with the company. And here's what he had to say.
Potentially, how close is Brock Lesnar to a return?
You'd have to ask Brock Lesnar that. Brock kind of does his own thing, so he's up in Canada, I'm sure, watching his kids play hockey and enjoying life. If and when he decides that he would like to do something, we'd be open to the conversation.
There was Triple H talking about that, saying he was be open to the conversation of bringing Brock Lesnar back. That is insane, and that answer is kind of, it's both insane and interesting at the same time, because on one hand, right, we obviously know that the Janelle Grant lawsuit that was levied against Vince McMahon and WWE did not paint Brock Lesnar in the best picture, to say the least. He was, honestly, and because of that lawsuit, many people believe that, in many ways he was kind of, not going to say blacklisted, not going to say blackballed, but definitely not going to be on WWE TV anytime soon. And, the idea that, hey, the reason we have Brock Lesnar, or we don't have Brock Lesnar on our TV, is not because, because of this lawsuit, or, there's legal things going on or whatever. It's because Brock doesn't want to show up, or, whatever Brock wants to come through, he can come through. I think if it is true, and again, there's media spin, there's a lot of things, whatever. If it is true that that is the case, it is insane that WWE, at least at this point, when we're so fresh into the lawsuit and uncovering things about it, it's insane that they are still considering, bringing in Brock Lesnar, or they would be open to it, unless, there's more information that we currently don't know of. Because, again, the accusations against Lesnar do not paint him in the best picture, and it was, I don't know, it was weird to hear Triple H say that. I mean, my mind obviously immediately goes to, is this media spin? Is this potentially him just being well, I don't want to give an answer about a legal issue, so I'm just gonna be you'll see Brock Lesnar when you see him. You never know. And that's kind of his thing is I'm a promoter. I'm always going to promote. I'm always going to keep people on their toes. I'm always going to make sure the fans are engaged and interested with everything I say, so they watch the show, and so their interest is piqued. Obviously, that could be playing a part into this. I mean, we do know Triple H. I think when he's very well produced, he is I'm not saying as a talent in wrestling. I'm talking about as an executive. He's really good at those docu-style videos, or the docu-style content that WWE puts out. He's really good at doing those pre-taped interviews as an executive. And he's generally good when it comes to the media. There obviously have been some times, especially in the past few months, where that has not been the case, and these press conferences have had people talking for the wrong reasons. And particularly with this issue, you go back to, I believe it was the Royal Rumble, when there were a few people who asked questions about the lawsuit because it was so fresh at the time, and what Vince McMahon's relationship is. I think Seahawk from The Ringer asked Triple H point blank, what's being done to protect people backstage and ensure people feel safe and secure. I mean, he kind of gave like an answer, which was like a non-answer. He's like everything. And then the other big one, I believe, what came from Brandon Thurston. The question was, and this really got people talking. The question was like, how do you react to this, all that kind of stuff, and Triple H gave like the most. He gave a very like unprepared answer, and it's insane because that entire press conference he seemed like he was unprepared for what was coming at him. It's almost like WWE PR did not realize that the lawsuit was going to be an actual point of emphasis and talking from the media, and that's why I think you've seen pushback from WWE media reportedly, and it is what it is. But regardless, again, I do not think it is in WWE's best interest from a PR perspective and anything like that. I don't think it's in their best interest to bring Brock Lesnar back. Of course, the money is always going to be there, and like he's going to be a draw. Brock Lesnar will still be a draw regardless of whatever accusations are against him. And again, I want to be clear: the lawsuit does not implicate Brock Lesnar did anything illegal, but it did involve him in he was kind of involved in that whole Vince McMahon thing. And I think like if we're looking at it from like a TKO perspective, I think they want to wash their hands of this completely. I don't think they want anything and anyone associated with this lawsuit, who especially like deep into it. Like I don't think they want anyone really in the company from that perspective. That's why they got rid of John Laurinaitis, obviously. And again, I'm not equating John Laurinaitis and Brock Lesnar in this. But again, it's just a very messy situation, and usually companies do not just don't bring people back like that. But that was an interesting answer from Triple H. We'll see what he has to say because obviously this is going to be a point of emphasis. I would hope that someone at the media scrum for or is there going to be a media scrum? Yeah, there's SummerSlam. It's a big 5 pay-per-view. So I hope someone at the media scrum kind of asks them to clarify that because that's an interesting one. Anyway, let's move on and talk about the other big story this week. Let's talk about WrestleMania potentially coming to London. So as you can see, Nick Khan, Triple H met with the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, this past week. And among many things, one of the big points of conversation, we're bringing the WrestleMania event over to the UK. Here is what the London mayor, Sadiq Khan, had to say about the situation. Yesterday, I welcomed Paul Levesque and WWE President Nick Khan to City Hall to discuss our ambition to bring WrestleMania to London. I'm determined to cement our city's reputation as the undisputed sports capital of the world, and it's exciting to be working with the WWE team, unquote. That was on Twitter, Sadiq Khan. Okay, so there's been a lot of speculation and talk about this ever since John Cena came out last year at Money in the Bank in the UK and cut that promo where he said, we want to bring WrestleMania to London. And yeah, it obviously got a lot of people riled up. As of the reporting at the time, there were no plans to bring WrestleMania to London, and it almost felt like John Cena doing that and WWE having him come out and do that was more so them being like, let's gauge the temperature a little bit. Let's see how hyped they would be. Let's maybe try to put a little bit of pressure on the local officials to show them how excited this fan base would be potentially to bring bring WrestleMania, over to London. It's quite interesting because, London has been a market that WWE has. They always have like their big like European tour. They always like spend like a few days, even a week in London or in the UK, But it's largely been like, I'm not gonna say completely ignored, but like on a massive scale until recent years. They haven't really had big time events there. Like that Clash of the Castle event was the first stadium show they had in the UK, I believe, since SummerSlam 92. Can't speak today. But largely ever since SummerSlam 92, they haven't done much there. And I think there's also a little bit of pressure on them coming from the fact that AEW ran Wembley last year. They sold 80,000 plus tickets. So not only did it show them it's a viable market for AEW, their competitors, but imagine what we could do there. And I think like that's the goal. I think Wembley Stadium is the place. I believe that we will see WrestleMania in London. And with WWE, they always want places to bid on these events. They always want places to be in action. Like who's going to offer the biggest site fee? That's really what this is about. And I think that's probably going to be one of the bigger points of conversation between London and the WWE. Like how much money is it going to take to bring WrestleMania over to London? We know, like we saw Minneapolis, like they thought they had WrestleMania. It didn't end up being that. And they ended up going to Las Vegas for next year. They are getting SummerSlam. They are getting a future, I believe, WrestleMania. They have Indianapolis like signed this massive deal to bring like WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and like base a whole bunch of events over to Indianapolis. So like I think you're going to see a lot more of this. And don't be surprised, like genuinely, don't be surprised if a couple of years from now we're in a situation where you have one night of WrestleMania in one city and then one night in the other. Like I could totally see a world where like take it like this, like you could do a regional thing like almost every other year, right? Because you could do, hey, New York and Philadelphia, one night in Philly, one night in New York. That could be like a weekend of WrestleMania. You could do the same thing in LA and maybe like, I don't know, market like San Diego or two or different stadiums in LA. Like you never know what's going to happen. Like the crazy thing about where we are and where WWE is, I think people like to think of WWE as like the same company that it was like 10 years ago even. It's not. It's not even the same company it was 5 years ago. TKO and them coming in, like I've talked about it ad nauseum at this point, they have changed the game of what WWE is. They want WrestleMania, they want all their events, to be honest, to be like weekend-long events. They want them to be as big as possible, as spread out as possible. Hell, you never know. You could genuinely see WrestleMania spread out a week. I could see them doing one weekend in one city, one weekend in another just for WrestleMania. It would be insane. It would be insanely expensive for all of us who want to go to it. But that's the thing. I think we need to stop thinking inside the box about like, oh my God, what city are they going to run? I'm like, what cities are they going to run? What weekends are they going to run? Like, they just moved WrestleMania from the first week of April, which has been its traditional home, I believe, for almost every WrestleMania, other than like maybe WrestleMania 20 when it was in March. But it's been its traditional home for that like whole time. And now it's like, okay, we're back, or now we're moving it back to Easter, the WrestleMania over Easter weekend in Las Vegas. The contradictions. Anyway, crazy stuff happening in pro wrestling, but looks like London could be getting WrestleMania. I think it would make a lot of money. And look, I think this is also WWE being like, all right, AEW holds the most ticketed attendance record or whatever that was, like, right? Let's maybe show them up a little bit. I think that's it. Let's reestablish ourselves as industry leaders, not just in the United States, but around the world. I think that's. We'll see what happens. Obviously, nothing's been signed, nothing's been announced. They are in talks, but I think it's going to get done at some point. It might not be for a while, but it will get done at some point, I believe. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys think WWE will bring WrestleMania to London? Who would you want to see it headlined by? Who do you want to see there? What celebrities do you want to see there? Are we going to have, oh my God, who would like do like a Peaky Blinders entrance? That would be really cool. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments. Also, be sure if you haven't already done so to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.